Hey Factionistas, and welcome back. And if you guys are new here, welcome to Faction Halloween, which is 31 videos in 31 days. Boom boom. Today we're doing a Scarecrow, and I've been reading your guys' comments and I've been trying to get a vibe of like what you guys want. You guys have been saying Scarecrow, but you guys also want something more simple. So this is kind of extreme contouring, but it's very doable, especially if you like maybe you can skip the neck or just do the face, but I wanted to do something that's like a little bit more attainable. So let's just jump right in. So I'm going in with this light brown shade, which is by Mayron. It's a water-activated face paint, so you just add water, it gets really nice and creamy, and it becomes a nice paint, and it dries on air contact. And I sketched out a little bit of this collar, a neck piece that I wanted to do, but it's very simple. It's just a bunch of stringy triangles coming from your neck. I'm starting with my body first, because if anything's a little bit more challenging, a little bit more time-consuming, I like to do that first, so it has my full attention, full energy, full patience, if you guys know what I'm saying. So I'm essentially just drawing in with this paint, and I'm filling in all of these areas, but I'm leaving these hole marks. You guys don't have to actually leave the hole marks. The black face paint is pigmented enough to just cover the entire thing, but I'm just leaving them as a little bit of a reference. And then with black water activated face paint, I'm now filling these in. These are going to be our negative spaces, and they're essentially going to be holes in what we're, kind of considering this Scarecrow mask to be. So I have a couple rough ones put down, but then we're going to go in and add more, and I'm going to kind of show you how to do that in a way that looks pretty cool. So when you're filling in black like this, it's very easy to focus on the negative space, which is the black, instead of the positive space, which is the brown. So when you're filling in these black circles, you want to focus on the positive space, which is the light brown face paint. You want to get a nice withed string motion in between each of these black circles or black spots, because that's really what the eye is going to focus on. It's going to focus on the highlight, not the shadow. So you want to see the movement of the brown face paint in these stringy, almost vein-like sections. So when you're creating these black lines or black circles, when you're creating these black circles, focus on those. I'm going in with this eyeshadow by Anastasia, and this is in the color Fudge, and it's the perfect eyeshadow to complement that light brown face paint. So I'm going in between each triangle of this neck piece, and I'm going to start shading it there, but then I'm also shading in these like tendril sections as well, and this is going to add movement so it doesn't look too flat. So you want to add these shadows and kind of get an idea of where the light would hit naturally and where it would kind of be shaded. So these corners in between each triangle would have shadow, and then the contours around the neck, the décolletage area where the collarbone might be, around the shoulders, all of that stuff. You want to put that movement in since we've taken it all away by doing a full coverage face paint. So I'm just going in and shading this to add some movement, and then we're going to go in a second and highlight. So I'm going in with Makeup Forever's Clown White, and it says Pro only, but that just means you can only pick them up at Makeup Forever standalone stores, but you guys can use the white face paint. Ooh, there's my email every time. You guys can use the white face paint that you guys can get from the Halloween store. So I'm just using this white paint to highlight the top section of each of those black circles. Very simple. With a black eyeshadow now, I'm going to go in and intensify these shadow marks. So when you're shading anything and adding light and movement to any design, go in with 2 eyeshadows. Don't do just 1. 2 eyeshadows is really going to enhance that movement, and it's going to have multi-dimensional movement, and it's going to look a little bit more realistic. So you want to go in with this black eyeshadow, and everywhere that we put the brown, just really enhance those areas. With a foundation brush, you're just carrying that same light brown face paint that we used at the beginning, and you're going to apply that to your entire face. So I'm using the Scarecrow mask as a reference. I'm not going to recreate it exactly, but I'm going to do, it had a very unique way that it moved, how it didn't really kind of have a mouth, and it was all kind of being pulled into the center, like the tip of the nose and into the mouth. I really like that overall face shape. So I'm using that just as inspiration, which is really a great tool for you guys to really see where the light hits, where the shadow hits, where all the movement is going. So I'm using that same Makeup Forever Clown White cream face paint, and I'm outdoing all of the highlight areas. These are what is going to be the highest point in the makeup, and what we're going to do after this is contour around these highlights. So I'm essentially using this to sketch out the overall shape, and then we're going to go in and shade them, and we're pretty much going to extreme contour. We're creating a bunch of tiny cheekbones. So essentially, consider these white lines, the champagne pop highlight section, and then now we're going to go in and contour the hollows. But with a blending brush right now, I'm just blending in these white cream makeup into the face because it's a little bit too of a stark highlight, but I also do want to get that gradient fade from that white. Boom. So I'm grabbing Fudge again, which is the original contouring shade that we used on the neck, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to start enhancing. So the shape that I'm doing right now is essentially the top cheekbone. So I'm shading underneath the top I'm shading underneath the top cheekbone, and now I'm shading above the bottom jawline. Does that make sense? So essentially, you can, if you want to relate this almost to a skull makeup, how there's a top cheekbone and a bottom cheekbone, that is what this middle section is. This middle section is the hollow, which you would normally fill out in black, but we're going to do it with a light brown for a softer effect. But I'm also just using that same eyeshadow, and I'm shading underneath all of these highlights. I'm shading underneath the jawline right now because I wasn't sure if I was going to fill it in with black or not yet, but I end up filling in black there anyway. But just continuing with adding shadows and depth, we're going to surround the contours of the eye, and we're going to create a little bit of a hollowed, sunken out shape there. Carrying that up to the brow bone, you know, traditional stuff, and then now at the bottom of the nose, and then using any excess shadow, and we're going to contour the sides of the nose. And then right underneath the butt chin. I always add a butt chin when I want to really define chin because it's got more movement. I'm going in really quick with the white paint to create a little bit of a temple, and then now I'm shading around the sides of the forehead. And then picking up black eyeshadow, same way we did the neck. You want to use 2 shadows instead of just 1 when you're contouring and adding shadow. So I'm using that black eyeshadow to enhance where we put that fudged previously. I'm applying it first because it is a very pigmented black, and then I'm going to blend it out with a blending brush. But I'm also using it to create a more defined shape around the eye. And then now I have that blending brush with a teensy bit of fudge on it, and I'm helping blending out that black. Now going with Anastasia eyeshadow in the shade Burnt Orange, and we're going to use this to start contouring a little bit. It's about 1 shade darker than our face foundation shade, so we're just going to use that to enhance these highlights a little teensy bit. So now we're going with the Makeup Geek eyeshadow, and this is Cocoa Bear. So we're using Cocoa Bear, and this is the darkest brown that I've used so far, so I'm putting it right in that hollow mark, and that's going to create a very obvious separation from the top cheekbone and the bottom jawline. But then I'm also using it to enhance those highlights. And then what's really going to seal the deal of this face shape is using this black to contour out the bottom part of the face to change our face shape overall. And then to blend that black into the rest of the makeup, I'm kind of creating more holes around it to create those same tendril marks. And then adding some black face paint around the sides of the bottom of the mask because I felt like it was too bare and it was weird looking. But taking a mixture of burnt orange, orange soda, and all of the browns that we've used so far, I'm just using that to deepen up the shadow around the eye. Grabbing some of my Tarte Double Take eyeliner. You guys know this felt tip eyeliner is my favorite thing. You want to enhance where that shadow meets that highlight with a really crisp black line. And then you get somewhere around here. Going in with lime green lime green eye face paint from Mayron. I'm creating these like little monster eyes and mouth coming in from the holes in the Scarecrow just for a little added bonus. I thought it was fun. But this is my favorite way to do mouths these days. I take that Tarte Double Take liner because it's so sharp and it's so black, and I'm doing an overall outline of a little Scarecrow mark mouth. And then with that cream white again, I'm highlighting kind of where the ruffles or the ridges of this mask are, you know, what are Scarecrows made out of? A burlap. Like if it was like burlap, it has that movement. And then we're taking burnt orange again from Anastasia, and we're going to shade in between those highlights. And that's going to start adding more movement. And then we're going to go in and finalize it with fudge. And I'm grabbing fudge now, and I'm putting it right in between there, and then you start to get a really movement. There's a lot of depth now. You can kind of see it starting to really come to life. And then we're just going to fill it in with black real quick, and you got a little Scarecrow mouth. I'm going in with some little bit of stitching. I didn't want to go too stitch heavy because I did that last year, so I'm just adding a couple on the sides of each side of the mouth. None in the center because the separation of the lip will break it up, but just on the sides. And then add a little bit of black eyeshadow to the inner corners of the eye as a little final bonus. And then you are all set, my friends. That's the final look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I know I had to speed through it, but this is quite a long video. I tried to keep them around 8 minutes, but whatever. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and I really hope that you guys liked this makeup. And if you guys recreate it, please use the hashtag FactionHalloween. I would love to see it. But you guys are the best, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Bye, friends.